And that brings me to David Cay Johnston, professor and distinguished visiting lecturer at Syracuse University College of Law and founder of DCReport.org. He is also the author of The Big Cheat. Okay, David, so again, just to repeat, Donald Trump said today he's going to pay his $175 million bond very quickly. But to Rob's point, does he have the money?
Well, he may well have borrowed the money. There have been indications that he has started to develop a relationship with Jeffrey Yazd, the actual multi-billionaire who owns 7% of the parent company of TikTok, which you may recall 4 years ago, Donald issued an executive order banning it. A judge threw out the order as a threat to national security. But now Donald thinks TikTok is just great, which tells you a lot about how Donald's policy changed with who is talking to him on money.
Last month you said, and again, this was under the idea that there was a $454 million bond that he needed, and that has been reduced substantially. But you said his next move could be personal bankruptcy. Trump has said himself in the past that he has never filed for bankruptcy. Take a look.
I have never gone bankrupt, by the way. I have never. But out of hundreds of deals,
but sir,
excuse me,
that's your line. But your companies have gone bankrupt.
Out of what am I saying? Out of hundreds of deals that I've done, hundreds, on 4 occasions, I've taken advantage of the laws of this country, like other people. I'm not going to name their names because I'm not going to embarrass, but virtually every person that you read about on the front page of the business sections, they've used the law.
So could Trump, do you think, if it came to it, be willing to file for personal bankruptcy?
Well, if Donald does this, and I was the first to suggest it, it would be a strategic move trying to delay enforcement of civil actions against him until the November 5 election, on the idea that if he becomes president again, he'll be able to make everything go away. And Donald is correct. He's never personally filed bankruptcy. In 1990, he avoided it because New Jersey casino regulators, in violation of the law, took his side against his bankers and forced the bankers to give up 1/3 of the $3 billion that he owed them.
$175 million. Trump raged against the possibility of having to sell some of his properties. But again, he was very clear today. He's got the money. 10 days from now, it's all going to be, all these possible options or consequences are going to be off the table. But what seems likely to you if it came to that? Well,
cutting the base amount in half, that's what the court did, is not particularly unusual. Courts have done this in other very large bond cases in the past. If Donald loses his appeal, which seems highly likely because I and others don't see any error of fact or law in Judge Engoron's order, then the Attorney General at that point will be able to move first against the bond and then, if necessary, anything else, including his bank accounts, to satisfy the judgment, which with interest, by the time the appeals are done, will be very close to $500 million. Seizing the bank accounts will be very problematic for Donald because he has loan covenants on various properties requiring him to maintain certain cash balances and a certain level of net worth. So he could end up with bankers foreclosing on properties apart from Letitia James.
Just one indication of how complicated all of this is. David Cay Johnston, thank you.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.